From expired vaccines to a president that barely can spell his name and form proper sentences, from random cyber attacks coming from Russia to hybrid war already on our borders, Baltic states basically crumbling, and, well, every now and then new affairs with COVID appearing, which is clearly just another way of sending everyone into panic. At first, the control was relatively fine, but the decisions made were just completely invalid. There were expired vaccines which were given out to the people, causing even more harm and even more deaths. Then, purchase of even more fucking expired vaccines. It just makes me laugh about the fact that constantly they put in millions and millions of the money that got borrowed, which, by the way, us, the people, will have to pay it back throughout our lifetimes. And I already know the precise sum of money every single citizen here in Latvia is owed to the country now because of this. It's approximately 5.5 thousand euros, which we will slowly pay back, maybe with even increased percentage over our lifetimes. And that was all because of a big fuck up that they cleared up with other shit. Started casting like, oh my god, our hospitals are overloaded and everything, whilst the same day one of my family members went to a hospital for unrelated reasons, and the hospital was completely empty, parking lots empty, everything, basically, all rooms were nearly open. There were a couple, of course, that were still taken, but that's about it. And all this nonsense and pushing in the media that everything's so bad, well, I think it's nonsense. Also, now, as everyone was saying otherwise, actually, for the most part, that vaccinated people will survive and push through, never get infected, and are ultimately more protected. Well, look who's joking and laughing now. The unvaccinated people are the people that were just sick with COVID, have formed an immune system to protect against it, because more infections and more deaths come from vaccinated people. Like it or not, but that's how it is. Even Latvian CDC have publicly already came out with statements and all the numbers. So all you have to do is look it up. They even have posted it on their Twitter. I'm not gonna use any video footage or photography or anything in this video, just because I don't want to cause any legal matters for myself, like me against the state. That would be an ultimate failure, because I'm no lawyer and I dig myself a hole. That's one thing. And I cannot afford such a lawyer to protect me against the whole country, basically. So that is one thing. The other thing, which most people don't even know about, that is happening, maybe only the Baltic states, in which primarily this is happening, we're receiving very, very heavy cyber attacks that extend to our cellular networks, to our overall power grids and everything. We're starting to have bigger and bigger issues with cellular networks just connecting everything. It's being punched offline, data leaks, personal information stealing, and all that's coming in from Russia. More Russian propaganda starting to appear in our medias, and ultimately now already tensions on the borders. We have so-called illegal immigrants coming closer to our borders and breaking them apart. But how can you be an immigrant trying to escape from something whilst having high-tech gear that I don't even have? coming to the border with the newest iPhones, expensive clothing from brands, expensive wristwatches, and other tech, driving up to the border in expensive cars, which pretty much here are counted luxury, and saying that you're trying to escape from something. That's just personal thoughts and opinion right now, but if I'd be in that situation, I'd try to sell it as fast as possible so I have money to use in the country I'm trying to flee to. That just makes sense, don't it? Another thing is the fact that all that they're doing is causing ruckus, trying to break down the border barbed wires and everything, trying to make a scene, but they make the scene only where all the media is, for the news channels or anything else really, only there. And a lot of people are starting to get heavily concerned because this is pushing more on the tensions against Baltic states. And those who don't know which countries are in the Baltic states, it's Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Poland, or post-Soviet countries here by the Baltic Sea. And why is it such a concern to me? Well, first of all, I fucking live here. Most of my family lives here. Most of the people I care about lives here. And overall, like, I'm also in the fucking military. I think I can say that. I cannot show any military uniforms or anything because that already is against the rules. But it's actually coming closer to a full-out war. The tensions keep growing just because of certain actions, actual kidnappings and hostage situations of Estonian Border Patrol officers being just taken off the border into Russia, and they haven't been heard from since. Their family members don't know anything what's happening, and overall the situation is becoming more and more serious. The troops on the borders are being sent more and more often, more heavily armed the next time they arrive, and there's massive cover-ups, of course. The first time I heard about this was when they finally decided it was more important than saying that, oh my god, COVID is so bad that, look, 6 people died in the last week. Like, oh my god. Other than actually sharing what's happening in our country, that our country is under risk of war, just because they think everything's under control when it's not. And another thing was, which I'm happy about that happened, that Russia tried to push that NATO withdrawals from Baltic states or any post-Soviet country. So basically we'd be stranded alone, and that would heavily impact our integrity of the country and overall independence. We could be easily invaded that way. And yeah, the next thing, again, is the fact that so many things right now are happening that nobody's even daring to speak of. I mean, I don't know if this even will land me in trouble or not, but I decided to speak about it because, well, I spoke to a couple people I know abroad, which are a bit further than Baltic states, and they don't know shit that is happening here. Like, I asked them, like, do you know about the tensions here in the Baltics, what is happening in the recent days? They say, like, is there actually anything happening since, like, World War II and, like, the occupation that they learned about in school? And I have to say that, yeah, there is. So, yeah. And now moving back to COVID, the topic everyone wants to hear about so dearly, that it's being told everywhere, constantly, 24/7. And personally, for me, I'm so sick of hearing it that every time I hear about it, I try to just cancel it out of my head and try to make it as white noise. Because all we hear about is how people need to get vaccinated, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, 20th time how that is going to protect us and everything. But come to think of it, right? Every other vaccine that we have had up until now, in this point, everyone has had one against polio, against tuberculosis, and other illnesses that are now basically cured with a proper tested vaccine. And we have it, once every 5, once every 10, once every 20, or even once in a lifetime. Except against ticks, that needs to be taken every 2 years, and I have had 2 of those. And my final dose of that is going to be next summer. Anyhow, then why currently a vaccine needs to be taken every 6 months? I personally think that's messing with the whole immune system, and that's just personal opinion, of course, right now, but I just think it's another scheme of pumping money where it doesn't need to, because most of it still ends up in pockets in which they should not be. Distribution of said vaccines, which are sometimes watered down or defective, causing more harm than actual any good. And I know some people are like, oh, you have not had COVID, you don't know how it is. And I can say I have. Most of my family has had it. It was actually by random chance, just appeared in our household, and all of us got sick with it. And people say it's very bad for some, yes, but that still is easily overcome. You just have to give your body the rest and everything. As every other sickness, you have to go through with it in the natural way, as our bodies were up until now. But I can even say that if even my mother with 2 types of stage 4 cancer can easily defeat this, then I don't see any issue that people try to panic about something that is flu-like but is less lethal than it. That's one. In some cases it has stronger symptoms than for some others, or sometimes no symptoms at all. But then again comes the thing, have you had any other health issues underlying or previously? Because that all affects it. It's not just the sickness itself that is. It's same as the flu. If you had some serious illness beforehand, you're going to have more severe symptoms and everything. It's just logical. And I have even asked a couple doctors that I have gone to myself for my military checkups, and just as my family doctor, and I have been told the same thing, which is underlying conditions or prior had conditions. Like for me, I had a bit more severe like when I caught the regular flu, I had it a bit more severe just because I had gastritis, which fucked up my stomach, right? So there's an underlying condition. There you go. So all the panic about like if you catch it you're dead and all that. I remember how it was when me and my dad tested positive. It was when we were heading to work, the test results came back, and we both actually, from the constant hearing that you're gonna die, well, we actually thought that's it, like end of the road for 2 of us, right? So yeah, I'm not saying to people what to do or what not to do. You can get vaccinated 20, 30, 40 times. You can inject other things in your veins. I don't give a shit. But please do pay more attention to what is being told to you. Don't sign off any random waivers that get shaken in your face. That's how you're going to get yourself killed or harmed very seriously, and harm your health and everyone around you. Read more in detail. Try to study. Try to learn a bit before you do something. Because in the end, you're gonna, well, say thank you to yourself for actually paying attention. Maybe there's something that your body might not like, or something overall you find that is out of place, and that will eventually save you. So keep that in mind, because after all, you yourself are the person that you have to live with the longest, and you're the only one that can do the most harm to yourself. Thank you.